Welcome to 101 East. I'm Steve Chow. 50 million. That's how many people are living as refugees in the world at this moment. It's the highest number since World War II, where once they were found in camps. Today they're in cities. The Malaysian capital of Kuala Lumpur has one of the world's largest populations of people seeking asylum. They're exploited, harassed by police. This is a real UNHCR card, and they ripped it up. Police ripped it up. Why police?
Money, no.
And when detained, refugees say they're starved and beaten. We go undercover to document the mistreatment by authorities and those tasked with helping Malaysia's unwanted. It's late at night on the streets of Kuala Lumpur. We're about to see firsthand how difficult life is for refugees here. Uniformed and plainclothes police are trawling for those without proper immigration papers. It doesn't take long for them to make an arrest. We watch as dozens of people are rounded up.
We can say there are lots of illegal migrants here. The ones we arrest are mostly from Indonesia, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nigeria, and the Philippines.
Authorities use the phrase illegal migrants because Malaysia has never signed the UN Convention recognizing refugees. In the eyes of the government, there's no difference between those needing asylum and those entering the country unlawfully. They're all criminals. Police tell us those picked up tonight will be sent to an immigration detention center. The next morning, I'm in one of the poorest parts of the city. I'm off to meet someone who's just got out of lockup. Hello. Hi, Khei. Khei Chi Soh is a refugee from Myanmar. She's spent more than a month in detention, separated from her daughter.
To this day, I'm scared of authorities in Malaysia. My time in detention haunts me.
It was just hours after giving birth to her daughter that Khei was arrested. Staff at the city's general hospital called police because she didn't have the proper papers. Her baby was in intensive care, but police refused to let Khei stay with her.
The immigration police were in plain clothes. They came and told me, "You can go see your baby one last time." I was distraught.
She was thrown into a cell and forced to sleep on a cement floor while still suffering pains from childbirth. For days, she says the only drinking water came from a toilet.
The water was very dirty, but we had to drink it and use it to clean ourselves.
Eventually, Khei's husband got her out by convincing the UN to intervene on her behalf.
In their minds, they see us as just refugees, not humans. So they look down on us and treat us differently.
Khei and her family live with many other refugees who struggle to make ends meet. According to Malaysian law, they're not allowed to work, and their children can't go to school. This is your UNHCR card, and this is your family's. The UN issues refugees identity cards to try to give them a layer of protection. You But Khei's roommates tell me it doesn't stop police from demanding bribes. How much do they ask for?
It's not fixed, but as much as we have.
We need to obey them what they said to us. We don't write at all.
But this one okay? Your wife's okay? This one okay? Okay. Outside on the streets, we hear similar stories. This is a real UNHCR card, and they ripped it up. Police ripped it up. Why police?
Money, no.
Despite the harassment, refugees flock to Malaysia because it's easy to get in. The conservative estimates are that there are now 150,000 in the country. They mix into an underground workforce of foreign laborers. Some are paid less than $1 a day for jobs Malaysians themselves often don't want. When asylum seekers first arrive in Malaysia, they come here, to the UN High Commission for Refugees, or the UNHCR. On most mornings, you can find long lines of people desperate for help. Many have made journeys of tens of thousands of kilometers to get here. Good morning.
Morning.
For most, Malaysia is just a transit point, and they've come hoping the UNHCR can find them a permanent home in another country. It's incredible to see the number of people here. The UN estimates that they receive up to 1,000 asylum seekers at this center every day. And this is KL, not some refugee camp in a war zone. That many applicants has created a massive backlog. And people are told it will take years before they're even registered as refugees. They're also told they may never be resettled.
Anybody not helping here?
Nobody helping you here.
Helping here.
This man fled Sri Lanka.
I waiting for 6 years. I lost my life. Sorry.
No. It's okay. I understand how tough it is.
Without my family, 6 years. I have 3 child.
Many here tell us because of the violence and persecution they faced, they were forced to leave families behind.
150,000 people as its beneficiaries. You can see the challenges.
Richard Toll leads the UNHCR mission here. He says the office is doing all it can with limited resources. He's been given only 30 people to register and resettle asylum seekers.
If you like, we're like an accident and emergency hospital, not a general hospital. In an accident emergency hospital, you make tough decisions all the time about triaging and about prioritizing who is the most needy of an already needy group of people.
It could be put into question whether UNHCR is doing all that they could do to help protect refugees.
Amy Smith has worked for the UNHCR. She says officials knew a decade ago that a large influx of asylum seekers would come to Malaysia, but did little to prepare for it. The agency only put in a proper computer system in the last few years.
They have largely been ad hoc. They've been largely not transparent. They've been not sustained. So what we would want to see from UNHCR is an open, an accessible, a transparent process to register refugees.
Back on the streets, we see the danger the UNHCR's delays are creating. Malaysian authorities are expanding their crackdown. Those who can stay out of sight. But others are caught. As this man from Myanmar is hauled away, we learn he's applied for his UN refugee card, but is yet to receive it.
How long have you been waiting?
Without that card, he too is headed for a long lockup.
Based on the research made by the police, 15% of the crime happen in this country is done by the foreigners.
by illegal migrants.
Yes,
15%.
15%.
Malaysia's Deputy Home Affairs Minister says public worry over crime is forcing authorities to act.
This is a worrying trend as far as we are concerned. We don't want to see all the crime that they did at home is being brought to our land and then it started on this country.
Those arrested are held in 12 facilities around the country. We apply to visit, but our request is turned down. So we've come up with a different approach to getting in. I'll be posing as a priest. Well, we've tried many times to convince the government to allow us to see what's going on in the detention centers. They've said no, so we're going undercover. Equipped with hidden cameras, we head for one of the centers. The gate's guarded by Malaysia's paramilitary force, known as RELA. Its members have been accused of human rights abuses, including beating detainees to death. We tell them we're here to give food and supplies to refugees. They let us in. The detainees are held in these buildings, which are surrounded by guard towers and barbed wire. We drop off the donations, and officials agree to let me see some of those being held. This isn't a jail, but it looks like one. People are handcuffed.
Where are you from? Indonesia, okay.
These men were arrested several days ago. They say they've been given little to drink and eat.
2 days, no food. Okay.
Guards tell me there's 1,000 people held here, and that some entered the country illegally to work. Others are refugees. This woman from China says she's been locked up for 4 months. She tells me the detention center gives them very little for free.
Hello. Can I see? Oh, so this is a store where they can buy things.
Detainees must buy their own essentials: blankets, soap, toothpaste. If they don't have money, they must go without. I see a constant stream of shackled people.
Which one from Myanmar? Okay, nice to meet you. I'm Pastor Eugene. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Not only are they handcuffed, but they're also chained to each other and not allowed to wear shoes. There are children held here as well.
Hello, how are you?
Which is a violation of international laws. This boy's father is from Afghanistan.
1 year you stay here?
He tells me he's been locked up for a year and rarely gets to see his child, who's detained separately.
1 month, one time.
I lend my phone to a group of Rohingya from Myanmar, whose families don't know where they are. According to the United Nations, they're one of the most persecuted minorities in the world. After several hours here, it's time for us to leave. Well, the hardest part just now is watching the women make their phone calls to their family. Afterwards, some of the women told me that they felt like they were being treated as criminals when the only crime they committed was trying to get away from a dangerous situation into somewhere safe for themselves and their family. I meet with a group of asylum seekers who have been released. What happened in lockup? What did they do to you?
I was held in one lockup for 15 days and was beaten from day one.
Under Malaysian law, authorities can legally cane them, but only if a judge approves. This group, however, tells me some have been beaten with metal bars and in public, which is illegal.
The hardest thing I faced in jail was being forced to take my clothes off and then being beaten, slapped and kicked in front of others, all for no reason. I have a family, a wife and children. I'm a respectable man, but in jail there is no respect.
How many of you were beaten when in detention? Every man here raises his hands. All of you guys. Wow.
Whenever I think about what happened, I can't control my emotions.
The UNHCR says such actions are tantamount to abuse.
We're aware of a number of stories of harsh and tough physical conditions inside detention, immigration detention and police facilities. There have been a number of deaths in one of the detention centres over the last 6 to 9 months in Malaysia, and that causes us considerable concern.
Malaysia's Deputy Home Affairs Minister admits to problems in the centres. Is there not abuse happening in these detention facilities?
Certainly there must be something like this happening everywhere. So we cannot also avoid 100%. My assurance is that on the basis of generally we are doing very well.
The minister promises to investigate all claims of mistreatment. As for children being held in lockup, Malaysia is a signatory to the UN Convention on Child Rights, and that convention states very explicitly that detention of children should not be allowed. So why is that being allowed here in Malaysia?
Well, you've got to see that we can't also separate the babies from the mother at the other stage.
But is this not breaching the international rules that Malaysia's agreed upon?
Technically, yes, it is. Technically, it is. But then it is much better that the babies are being kept together with the mother rather than the babies are being put elsewhere.
Obviously, it is inhumane conduct to hold children in detention centers.
Malaysia's Bar Council challenges the minister's argument, saying international laws are clear.
This is something that I think the government should take give serious attention and take remedial action immediately. I mean, it is something that is surely not permissible and that should not be done.
Hounded and mistreated by authorities and dealing with a UN agency that is struggling, refugees have found ways to care for their own. In this rundown building, I meet a man trying to make a difference.
Hi. Nice to meet you.
David, a refugee himself, runs a support group for ethnic Chin from Myanmar.
So how many students at the school?
Total 74.
74 students here?
Yes.
His group provides all kinds of help, including education.
So this is one of the classrooms?
Yes.
The school is run solely on donations.
What color?
High school consists of 2 students teaching themselves from textbooks in a storeroom.
They want to learn. They have no choice to learn to the local Malaysia school. Just only the refugee school.
So these are your community group cards?
Yes.
His group also issues its own identity cards, and the UN began relying on this information to schedule refugee hearings. But we've learned that's led to fraud. According to insiders at the UNHCR, based on the community lists, people turned up for interviews using other identities to get faster hearings. UN investigators confirm 3,000 such cases of people posing as others. A third of those cases have already been resettled in countries like the US, Canada, and Australia.
We found that some sectors of the refugee community had been involved in wholesale identity changes to manipulate the system, and we're absolutely determined for that not to happen.
Toll says the UN no longer uses names and information provided by community groups. David blames the agency, saying it used outdated lists, and insists his group has never deceived anyone.
We never lied to the UNHCR.
An internal UN investigation as to who is at fault will be completed next year. In the meantime, we've learned about a whole new level of fraud. Using hidden cameras, 2 of our contacts pose as refugees to meet this man, who claims he can get UNHCR cards for a price. That's more than $1,000. The man's tag identifies him as a volunteer for another Myanmar refugee group. He claims he's working with UN staff. Evidence of crooked insider dealings come from more than one person. This man's tag identifies him as a UN translator. He offers to sell a UNHCR card for 1,700 ringgit, or around $600 US. And again, the interpreter mentions the boss behind this scam is a high-level UN official.
There are lots of accusations and allegations that swirl around this marketplace, and
the head of UNHCR in Malaysia admits he's heard talk of wrongdoing, but won't say if an investigation into UN staff is underway. 101 East has learned some translators were let go on suspicion of fraud.
If allegations come up that have some credible basis to it, they're investigated and proper action is taken. So
You're not confirming, eh, Rick?
I'm not going to confirm or deny, because I will never discuss individual cases or accusations with anybody. It's not appropriate from a variety of perspectives.
Toll admits, due to fraud concerns, the UNHCR suspended its resettlement program for several months this year.
Well, as far as we're concerned, I think they have to do a lot more than that.
The Deputy Home Affairs Minister says the scandals have lost the agency credibility. He's demanding they be more transparent.
We must know the detail of the people that they classified as UN refugees, and not just give the card and that is it. We must have all the data, we must have all the detail, and we pass to our authorities.
The UN admits mistakes have been made, but they stress Malaysia also needs to assume a greater responsibility for refugees living on their soil.
I fully accept that we can do more and we can do better, but some things are beyond our control, and that is absolutely why we need a higher degree of engagement and support from those around us. We are long since past the day of being able to try and do it on our own, and neither is it appropriate.
The fallout in all of this is that the lives of refugees here have been made that much harder. Since the scandals at the UN, Malaysia has become more determined to lock up anyone illegally entering the country. That leaves many who fled persecution spending months or years behind bars. And even for those not locked up, they face a harsh life of fear and uncertainty, which they say strips them of their dignity and makes them feel less than human.